Hello, I'm Unbound Sage, and welcome to another Godforge video. Today with me, I have a special guest, Dirk. He is one of the lead game design, right? Is that
That's
your
right.
title?
Yeah, technical design. I think it's the official title there. Lead
Yeah.
technical design.
But how about you go ahead and kind of introduce yourself, and how did you find Fateless, or how did Fateless find you, and what's your day-to-day look like?
Oh yeah, I guess I got started off. I made an indie game with Sham in the past that took us like it was like 7 years. So over the course of that, I got to learn how to use Unity pretty well. I mean, it's a lot you can do with it. Obviously, it's like one of the best engines out there. So I don't know everything, but the things I know pretty well. So yeah, Sham was he wanted to get another game going, so he worked with Simon to found Fateless and start Godforge. So yeah, I actually was up on the list of like, hey, do you want to get the band back together again? And
That's
so
great.
yeah, I got started on that early on just to get the ball rolling, and then since then, oh man, is it quite the snowball now? Because we started off, as you know, I partnered with Magic Media, and they've been great, and we've since picked up like a full studio now, so it's been incredible to
Yeah,
see
like
it like just
50
grow.
people, right?
Yeah,
That,
yeah, it's crazy now.
that,
Every day,
that
every week, there's more people added. You're like, whoa, damn, and then they're all like amazing talent too. We keep getting. We're like, everybody
it,
keeps asking Shem, how are you getting these people here?
it's a far cry from the two-man squad, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
because yeah, back in our original project was very few of us, and towards the end it was just me and him. It was like Sham became the lead dev, and then I was like doing all the design and implementation on a lot of it. And yeah, it was a
Yeah, it's honestly crazy because we know that the Fateless anniversary, the 3-year anniversary, is in April sometime, and so
Mhm.
you guys will probably have Godforge in early access by that time. How does it feel to be like went from a new studio to like release of a game with 200 plus characters?
Well, yeah, the scale of it now is huge. Just the fact that we actually have these characters, and they're all like in essentially now. Like they all the characters exist. They're all in the game. They don't all work yet, but we're it's getting there very rapidly. So we're hoping to spend our holiday season playtesting it like crazy.
Yeah.
And then yeah, getting that out there for early access early next year. And yeah, and just seeing it like blow up into a full on game with like it's just so I don't know, it's so fun. Like it's a game that we all enjoy playing. It was like something Sham and I were talking about early on in Alpha One. We were both playing Etheria Restart pretty hard at the time, and like we started playing the Godforge Alpha, and we both, without like even saying anything to do with each other, we both just kind of quit playing Etheria because we're like, Godforge is just way more fun. Like it was our first time actually getting to play the game.
Yeah, like in
Like
the
Etheria.
gameplay loop rather than just like in an environment, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, there wasn't much to be able to test stuff before then. Like we were getting assets in,
Yeah.
but like the Alpha One was like truly the first play test of the game. Like we had tested like to make sure like it was working, like the game wasn't going to be crashing too much. And even though anyone in Alpha One knows we had a lot of like memory leak issues and whatnot, phones that were blowing up to 10,000 degrees, but
Yeah.
and yeah, that all got resolved I think by Alpha Two mostly. Almost every technical issue did, so which allowed us to going into Alpha 3 to focus more on like it's like balancing and then fixing some of the issues with some of the skills and interactions. And there was a lot of bugs like we had with shields and barriers and whatnot. But yeah, I know being able to actually like play the game itself, or like there was so much that was like theoretical. We're like, oh, this can be totally sweet. I can't wait to try this out. And we actually had to try. We're like, man, this is really good. Like,
This
there's a
is
lot of fun playing this.
I think the team building, even like thinking about it this way, right? We had access to
Mhm.
67 champions, and there was only like one or two champions that really fell on their face, right? Like I think
Yeah.
Set comes to mind, right? And I think it was more of that the environment wasn't for Set, right? But even then,
Mhm.
so was in the equation when we were talking about, he has decreased accuracy, right? Which is good for, Fafnir landing his buffs, right? But at that point, or debuffs, but at that point we had Sphinx who, could do the same thing. So, but like every other champion kind of had their place. There was someone who kind of adopted every champion who's like, yeah, you're mine. You're always on the squad, right? I'm going to try you out. And Yeah, and then with launch having 200 plus, right? That's going to be a big playground to play with, right? Considering how fun the
Oh
alpha was with just like
yeah,
60.
we've got to the point too where like we've kind of like split tasks on a lot of these heroes. So and there's so many like we kind of go over them in meetings, but there's a lot of that I forget what they even do. So I'm like excited to actually like, jump in pretty soon because I've just been like head down implementing stuff at the moment. So I can't wait to actually get in there and start like play testing more and like trying out different teams. And we've got some PvP almost working, so internally we'll be testing against each other. So I've got my eyes set on Chosen. I'm going to be crushing them.
You're gonna be yeah. I could definitely tell a bit of rivalry when we shared that podcast. There was definitely a bit of back and forth. Like, yeah, like definitely some friendly competition for sure.
Yeah, no, there's been I don't know how it started, but for some reason, with Brad, anytime like anything silly would go wrong, it's not his fault. Like we'll always immediately pit it out. I'm like, Brad, what has happened? It's
great.
in jest, like it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
like
of course, yeah, of course.
but for some reason, it's kind of like grown like into its own little running joke now. So
poor
yeah,
Chosen.
If he finds something abusive, it'll be his fault. Like,
yeah.
Of course you let this mechanic slide through.
Yeah. So so let's talk about I had some questions for you, so let's go into them. I think the first question here would be, we understand that there's gonna be a drip feed of legendaries, right? The Fateless view on legendaries is the game is designed around like rares and epics, and then the legendaries are the icing on the cake. And they're not going to be plentiful, right? So don't expect games like King Arthur that gives you everything, right? I'm a fan of this, right? But how does that affect the power budgets of like uncommons, rares, and epics, right? Knowing that they're going to be the core of the game.
Yeah, so the common, uncommon, they're almost in the same bracket of essentially unusable. I'd like to actually, we're going to take a pass, probably redoing characters. Right now we're just focused on getting characters in. So you probably saw like there were some uncommons that were like just absolute trash.
Yeah.
Where it was like, what is the point of this guy?
Well, that's the thing too. I think of Kunoichi, who has a 25% chance to sleep, and I'm like on the core, and I'm like, I don't want to press my core button to roll a 1 in 4 for like a weaker debuff, right? Like,
I think Spartan was another one where you're like, I don't ever want to touch this core. Like, what am I getting? Like resist on 1?
Yeah. The thing was like Knight had like a 5-turn cooldown, defense up 1, resist up 1. You're like, okay, yeah, I'll press this button. No, right? Like,
yeah, there's definitely a pass on like cores should never feel. In almost every situation, your core should be optimal over your basic.
Yeah.
Now, I guess we don't want that to be a hard rule of like always, like, because then it becomes mindless. You want to still be able to time it correctly.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you should never have a core that you just straight up don't want to use. So there will be a pass, even with like the uncommons. There's definitely some that. I mean, they just went there and like the goal was just kind of like just getting a bunch of baseline abilities. Like, okay, this will be a generic buffing yourself. But there's a few that in practice you're like, I don't ever want to use this. This isn't good at all. And so. And then there's a few too where it's like heroes have and even some rares fall in this category where they have just like brutally long cooldowns and like weak versions of buffs or debuffs.
Yes.
So it's like the skill sucks and you have to wait a year for it. So
yeah. Or it lasts for like 1 turn where it's like, oh yeah, I get like weak defense down for 1 turn. Awesome, right?
Yeah. There's a few of those where it should be like one other. So the ability sucks but doesn't have a bad cooldown, or if it's got a long cooldown, it should at least be like, well, okay, it's got a 5-turn cooldown, but it's an uncommon giving you this, so like, it's worth it. Yeah, there's definitely even like it's the uncommons, like they're not going to get a ton of treatment, but at the very least, like cores shouldn't be useless, so that's definitely on the radar. Rares too, like even some of the changes we had made to some of the rares. And I think this was just part of in the alpha, just the way things worked out in the pacing. You got heroes. It was very common to start off using a bunch of rares and then sort of just skip epics and go right into legendaries. So some of the rares kind of got like toned down a bit, especially Dagonet. But some of those will be walked back, like Dagonet.
Yeah,
He turned out he was like my favorite character of the game, and then by Alpha 3, I'm like, oh man, this guy.
yeah. I think what's I always talk about Shinigami. I think Shinigami is the perfect example of a rare hero using the weaker version of a debuff because he gets so many that synergize together. So it's like, okay, you're gonna have this one hero slot that gives you a little bit of everything, right? Yeah,
And he
I don't.
feels great. He looks sweet too.
He,
So it's like a
yeah, dude, he looks sweet. He feels so great to play. He does a good amount of damage as well. So you can either build him on the accuracy tanky side to be like your all catch all debuffer for offense, or you can build him as like a secondary DPS that sometimes debuffs if you don't have the accuracy budget to fit in.
yeah. But because he's a Slayer, so he does like have the stat budgets of a Slayer when it comes to damage. So
Yeah.
he definitely could put it out. And then it was like his crap debuffs. And they weren't like I mean, defense not one isn't terrible.
No,
It's
yeah,
not like
it's the weaker version, but when you have so many that synergize well together, right? Because you get hex and defense down, right? And then you also are putting on banish when you kill things, so the things are staying dead. So it's just a lot of the weaker debuffs just synergizing really well together in one kit.
yeah.
So
He's definitely like a prime example of like a good one. Not all the rares are going to be great for
yeah,
for
of
sure.
course.
But there definitely will be some stellar ones in there. And then again, in the same way I was talking about uncommons, like ones that have rare or even in the rares, if they have cores that feel unusable, which I don't think was really the case with a lot of the rares, but the rares definitely suffered from like bad versions of buffs and debuffs plus long cooldown, where it just felt like, what is the point? Like
Yeah.
it didn't feel like you would use them anywhere because they just were so like inconsistent in what they were doing that I don't know. It just felt like way too easy to just completely write them off. And we want everyone to at least feel like you want to try them once. So.
Yeah. Or you could make them work in a team, if you built around it. It's not like an easy plug and play, but it has kind of this build around that you could make work and make them shine, right?
Yeah, which you probably had to suffer some of them trying to going for all the challenges. Like, some of them were so specific.
Yeah, I mean the hardest one I love to talk about is 142. Is Set, Izumo, and Tien, and there were only 6 candidates, and one of them was Pangu, which I never got, and then the other one was Kunoichi, which has that 25% chance to sleep. And so my team was picked for me, and it was literally Musashi, Guan Yu, Shinigami, and Shishi. So I had to run one of the hardest stages with 3 Slayers and a Defender. It's like,
oh gosh,
let's. It turned out it wasn't even the right tooltip too. So I get it done. I remember getting it done. I'm like, oh, it's finally over, right? And it didn't even pop, and I was like, what? And I was just like, well, I have a bunch of Asgard built. I'm just gonna try Asgard. But yeah. But speaking, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Chosen.
It was a tooltip issue, right? It was coded correctly. There was just a tooltip mistype. I personally was fine because I get to be one of the few people who said, "Yeah, I did it with the easy mode Tien, right? I did it the hard way. I have the screenshot and everything."
At least, Shishi was like good. Guan Yu and Shinigami together are great. Like they're
It was a lot of good champions, but they don't synergize well together, right? It was like
Slayers.
Yeah, it was 3,
especially weak ones like rares. They just don't have the health, so trying to keep them up with a Shishi.
Yeah, and especially with like the waves that were being challenged, right? It's like it's a Heimdall Sphinx wave, and it's like I need to kill Heimdall or Sphinx immediately. If not, if Sphinx gets the vanish off, it's over. Like, good night, because Pangu's just gonna batter your team to death. Like, I can.
What's up? So you didn't have Pongo because he would make that. So he was like a beast.
Yeah,
so he would definitely would have.
I grinded. I grinded for a day, but people were catching up, and I was like, I need to try to crank this out because people are gonna overtake me. But we talked about epics feeling a little undertuned or unimpactful, I think is the word I would want to use. Do you think this was just because of the nature of the alpha, right? The easy access to legendaries and the content being almost all wave content with 2 specific bosses? Or do you think that there was like a lack of time to really shine? Because as the alpha went on, people like Brynheld really started to shine even over legendaries in this place, right? So what
one of the first ones. So she was like a very early design, maybe the first hero designed. So, and she was meant to be like comparable because she's in the opening cutscene, so she's
Yeah.
meant to be comparable to a legendary. But when
Yeah.
you first got her in the alpha, I'm like, oh man, she's not really feeling it. But yeah,
Radiance is
she
a good
eventually.
buff. Radiance is a very good buff. And with a low divinity cost, like that thing might as well be a second core. Like it is very good. But
Mhm.
in general, how do you guys feel about the epics? What after you've seen Alpha Waves?
Yeah, I think the problem with a lot of the current epics we had in the alpha were very like maybe boss focused and maybe like very specific. Like there would probably be a boss where you'd want to use them in like the actual launch of the game, but they did in general just feel weak. There was a lot that just had like too much single target, I think. So and because the alpha was mostly just wave content,
Yeah.
you you didn't want to bring someone like even like Osiris, like he's good and he single target, he kind of hit like a truck, like more
Yeah.
so than I think than we planned.
Well, because the thing is,
But
he
where are
gives
you gonna
himself
use
20% more damage from the passive, and then 20% more damage from the drain. So if he like drains and then hits with his core, like basically apply the drain and then smack with the core, that hits. Like that's some real
yeah,
damage.
yeah, it's good, but
Yeah,
it
it's
it didn't
not.
feel like you wanted to use him anywhere. It was the
Well,
main
that's the thing,
problem.
right? Is like when I have access to Zeus, right? And like
Yeah,
I already have
yeah,
a,
exactly.
it's like I have Zeus or I have like YDG or I have Odin even, right? Where it's like, yeah, I can do that much damage and confuse, and whatever. And even Odin wasn't very, people weren't happy with Odin either. Like, although I was quite, I think that I was in the beginning. I didn't think Odin was super great, but at the end, people convinced me that like, hey, Odin's deserves to be an eternal legendary.
Mm.
So
Some of them you didn't really they didn't feel great. Maybe if you got Odin, like you beat early on after your first Fafnir or whatever, you get like a legendary, and you get Odin. Then he's probably not going to carry you through waves like hitting a Sphinx or like a YDG would or something like that.
yeah,
But like later on, some of those waves get brutal, and having someone like Odin who can just be like, "Well, you guys are going to be confused for always," and like
yeah,
the insta kill coming in, like it, he definitely feels a lot better once you start hitting that like end game content than he did early. Which, I mean, it'd be nice to maybe tweak him a bit to get him because he is like a pinnacle
yeah.
god
Well,
of his family.
I think too is his two dogs weren't with him, right? And so part of his war party
Yeah.
is he boosts the dog's turn meter all the way up, right? So there is a
Mhm.
play pattern where you attack with the two dogs and then you do Odin's core and then they get to go again. And so I bet
Yeah.
when you have that play pattern, it's gonna feel very good.
Yeah. I'm that was like a late addition to that kit that were like because weren't originally gonna have Jerry and Frecky in the game, and then we were able to work out the rig to actually get them in. So now we're like, oh well, now let's get the true Odin kit built up using
Yeah,
them. And but now it's just kind of like waiting for them to actually like become playable, which in the alpha we weren't close to ready. But
yeah.
yeah, they'll be there for for early access, and we'll get a chance to see how that feels. I suspect it's going to be completely OP, but
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, you need two specific epics,
yeah,
and it
it
takes
makes
up three team slots. But
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
So I was going to say the team's going to feel very limited, so it'll do its one OP thing well, but like it's not going to be a very balanced team in a
oh
sense.
no, yeah,
So
that's yeah. So just so you know, what the community knows, right? I have been keeping track of the portraits that we've seen and the characters that are confirmed, and I have counted 226 portraits right from the Simon video, and you can see it too. And we only don't have a name for like 25 of them or something. So like we have the community has a pretty good idea of like who's who, right?
yeah,
Just from, us being huge nerds with nothing better to do, right? And just be like, "Oh, this guy's probably this one. Oh, this guy's Avalon and Legendary, and he looks like this guy, so it's probably this, right?" And then it gets confirmed like 3 weeks later by Simon showing it off. So, yeah, the
yeah,
community,
right.
yeah, we have a
Pretty
pretty good
good,
idea of who's going to be in the early access. Obviously, we have no idea about their kit or anything, but
yeah.
um, yeah. So, yeah, I think that'll do for heroes. I do have some other stuff to talk about, and first of all, we're going to talk about dungeons, right? So we
Yeah.
we saw the dungeons. There can be ascension dungeons, and then we saw some gear dungeons, and then we know that the I think it's the Hag will be the weapon dungeon, what Simon said, right?
Mm.
For these dungeons, are there going to be certain breakpoints where it's like, yeah, you want to farm stage 10 of the dungeon and then try to push to 13, then 15, right? How
Yeah.
much thought has gone into that?
Well, there's definitely be like difficulty, like upgrades, including like beyond just stats in the fight.
Okay.
So there will be like, it won't just be like linear growth of like, now the boss has this much more health damage. Like there will be points where all of a sudden, like now you need to do, it's like similar, I think, to like Fire Knight and Raid, where you have to start doing more hits to break the shield. It'll be
Okay.
stuff like that, where like more will be asked for you in the fight. That'll make it significantly harder beyond just stats.
Okay, yeah. So imagine like for let's say for the Desecrated Daimyo, right? Because that's the one fight that we know about. It might be okay. Okay, I'm gonna bring in my 5-star Guan Yu, and for stage 1 and 2, that might cut it, right? But then for stage 3, it might need to be 6-star, or I might need to bring in some synergies. I can't just rely on the core nuke, right? And then eventually be like, okay, Guan Yu's not working anymore because he's not interacting with the boss mechanics, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can be off the wrong opinion. Well, I mean, Desperate Daimyo
Yeah, he's he's
affinity
he's
won't
all
be.
void, right, all the way down, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So
But yeah, for other bosses like that, yeah, you'll have to
yeah.
start taking affinity into account and all that. So.
Yeah. The classic, right? You got to
Mhm.
build out your roster. One guy's not going to carry you, right?
Yeah, your starter.
Yeah, my little
Although,
starter.
I don't know, Guan Yu. The funny thing is, like, Guan Yu was by far a worse starter originally, and kind of buffed him up a bit, and he felt a little weak. I think probably people who picked Guan Yu had a tougher time earlier in the alpha. And then like later on though, especially when you start doing like I found level 60, I think with the
The Golden
Golden
Guardian.
Guardian, first time you're fighting him,
Yeah.
having that drain and someone who could just chunk the boss, just
Yep.
it was
Especially
so good.
especially when you can build him tanky, right? 'Cause it's like, okay, I don't need to build an accuracy. I have Shinigami to apply drain. I have Green Knight to apply drain. I have Osiris to apply drain. And then so I just drain the boss, and then I just smack with Guan Yu, who is super tanky and doesn't have any accuracy. And that's a situation where like, I don't want to use the core simply because I don't need it, right? The A1 hits
Yeah,
harder. Yeah.
which I
So
think in that when you're using them for a specific thing, I think in those cases it's okay to skip it.
yeah,
Like
that's what I'm
because
saying. I think that's great design, right? Is like I can build my character in a way where I have a strategy, right? I thought about this. My whole team's around this. That's awesome. I think that's
yeah, like
great.
the Guan Yu basic just like whack, whack,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And it was meant to almost feel like our Armiger, which we put on a rare, but it is a starter at least. But I mean, was uncommon, so wasn't a starter, but you get
Mhm.
him like day one.
yeah. You
So
just pop some greens or go farm them
yeah,
somewhere, right? Yeah.
you'll have them. So that's
So
kind of like what Guan Yu fills that role. I don't think we're gonna have any uncommons that are gonna be of that power level. That's something that you blame Saf for that one. And you blame Chosen, but no.
you made
Saf,
chosen. Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah. So when you talk about Shield Maiden having a weak shield, right? That's Chosen's fault, right? Yeah, I
but
got
yeah. No, I
it.
mean, yeah, Saf specifically, I don't know. He looks down at like uncommons with disdain, like that a noble would have for peasants. It's like
Yeah,
get this trash out.
so if if you had your way, do you think that uncommons would have a place in like the early game where I built them up to 5 and I can use them for like maybe the first week before I feed them to a 6-star?
Yeah, well, I think the goal on comments is we want to have faction wars like
Okay.
early on in the game, and also the like the our version of like a Doom Tower, right?
Yeah,
And there are going to be like character restrictions.
the
The
Tower of
Tower of
Chaos
Strife,
and Tower of
yeah,
Order, yeah.
like, yeah. So they're not meant to be something that you would in your whole array of your whole roster of heroes. I mean, obviously, early on it's limited, so maybe you're
Yeah.
going to try some stuff out. But like when you start having to do like limited characters, like okay, I can only use this faction, or I can only bring order or chaos. That's where you're going to be like, well, shoot, I need someone who's got
Yeah,
this.
the 5th
He's
team
got it on
slot might be an uncommon in the beginning. Yeah.
right, and that's I guess their role is when when pickings are slim and you don't have a lot of great options, which I'm sure you felt that doing the challenges. Like, stuff like that is where I think some uncommons might have a chance to shine.
Okay.
And like I said, they will get a little bit of work where their cores won't feel like trash. Like there should be something where you look at it and be like, I could probably use this here. Like it's not ever going to be optimal, but you'd be like, nah, this would probably work.
Yeah, like for a challenge run, but you'd say the game is really bounced around like rares and higher.
Yeah, rares and up, yeah.
Yeah.
And rares are pretty easy to get. Actually, even so something shoot, I don't know if this was mentioned. This is it.
Hey everyone, sorry to interrupt the podcast here, but Dirk wanted me to remind you that this next tidbit, is a leak, and he wanted to say that it's not set in stone, everything is subject to change. And that's true of this entire video, but especially for this tidbit as well. So, go ahead and enjoy the leak, but I just want to cut in to just, make it clear that it is subject to change.
Our version of like a mystery shard doesn't just stop at rares. Like there will be chances to get epics and legendaries in them. Small,
yeah, yeah, okay.
Like everyone will probably at some point hit like an epic. Legendaries will be like you'll see someone on like a YouTube video get
that'll be a tuber, right? I'm just pulling food, and then I get a Heimdall, right?
Yeah, those situations though where you're just pulling like thousands of them late game eventually. So that's where all of a sudden like you will end up like just you roll the dice enough times you're gonna hit a legendary. So it's just it's meant to give you like a little like so it doesn't feel like you're just
it's not blindly pulling green shards, right? I'm just there's hope, right? There's copium where like, oh, maybe I will get Zeus and not Zeus, but like Ra or something in the in the mystery shards.
Where you're just like taking out the trash over and over again. Like there's nothing to look forward to. So at least there'll be like you get something cool. Oh, nice. Like you almost forget they exist, and then all of a sudden you'll see that flash of gold or whatever, and like
I can.
So because of that, like players will have an easier time, especially maybe in epics, getting those. But at least rares, like we have, I think, as seen already in the alpha, there's plenty of viable rares at the moment.
Yes,
are both like usable in a lot of content and look cool, so you don't feel like you're missing out on because I know a lot of the rares in some other games, there's such like an afterthought.
Yes,
that like it just feels like crummy, even when they are usable. You're just looking at like it's like naked guy in a loincloth.
With a little club, right? It's like this long, right? It's like a little cudgel, right?
So at least all of our rare, I think the general rule of the rares was like they're going to be like named characters or like famous monsters or something.
Yeah, like we saw like Banshee and Cyclops, where they're not named, but they're a big deal in their myth, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but then you'll still get other ones like Odysseus or there's plenty of like named characters.
Yeah, even Guan Yu, Lady Jacques, and Ramses, right? Like they're big names in their their culture.
So it's not like just throwaway like characters that you like when you're using them. You're looking at your team like this doesn't feel fun at all.
Yeah, at least at least my rare team is like, oh yeah, I have like a Banshee and then Guan Yu, and then I have like a Shinigami, right? And then it's like there's actually cool people that if I tell it to my friends, I'd be like, oh, that's your day one team, like that's pretty cool,
Yeah, it's already pretty mythological and epic feeling. Even though it's you're playing with essentially, I don't want to say they're the lowest rarity, but they're like essentially the lowest of viable rarity.
Yeah, the
and
lowest.
Like you can see too, they get a full kit at least too. You get
and you get a passive, right?
Passive, and then once you start, even some of those passives, they feel pretty good as imprints as well. And that was the other important thing is like we wanted rares because no one's going to be crunching epics, especially legendaries, for imprints.
Well, that's
early on.
I plan on making a video about this too, but I've been rethinking imprints, right? And one of the things that is going to be in that video is when we talk about the draft mode, which obviously we know nothing about. I'm not going to ask you about it, but Simon keeps saying the reward is probably going to be imprints. And at first I was kind of like underwhelmed. I was like, well, I want shards. Why do I want imprints? But then when you consider that imprints can not only ascend a champion, like if I get a Heimdall imprint, or like even let's say a Zeus imprint, I get a Zeus imprint, I hit the jackpot. Like I can use that to A1 my Zeus, or I get this extremely powerful, like probably the best just all around passive in the game. And when you consider it like that, isn't it like better or almost as good as a shard, right? If you already have
Yeah,
the character.
exactly. Yeah, like you don't get to play with the hero, but like, are you ever? At what point in your like gaming career do you ever think you're gonna like break down a Zeus? You know what I mean? Do
Yeah,
you really think
yeah.
you're gonna ever have
Well, I'll tell
like
you this
seven
too.
of them?
When I was doing the like, because there's 148, it was use 2 rare heroes, right? I had to use a Zeus imprint. There's like, I needed to make up the damage. I was using a Makihito weapon, which is 40% more damage on the first attack per wave, and a Zeus imprint on that. When I had to break down a Zeus, it was a big event. Like I had the stream up, I had all the hive mind in there. I was like, hey guys, we're not A1ing Zeus. I already did the challenge with it, that needed Zeus not to be ascended. We're breaking them down. That's what we're doing. And so there were guys in there who didn't have a Zeus yet. Like, there's no way. And yeah, I crunched my Zeus to get it right. And I think I'm really coming around to the impact of especially rare and legendary imprints. Like those are going to be a big deal because like you can use them for the imprint, and if it's not a good imprint or not an imprint that you have a use for, you just feature your champion for an ascension, right?
Yeah, and yeah, so I don't think that it'll ever feel. You'll never, hopefully, feel sad getting a legendary imprint. That should always feel like, very, very exciting because that's. I don't like I said, especially eternal legendaries. Like you'll probably never be in a boat where you've got enough eternal legendaries or enough duplicates that you no longer are ascending or need passives for weapons like this.
Yeah, I mean, if you're at that late game where you have a A5 Zeus and like 5 weapons that have his imprint, right, for all your different teams, I think that you're an outlier as well as a player, right? Either extremely lucky or another means where you just spent so much money on the game that's like you can have the 5 Zeuses and the imprint. You probably have everything else in the game anyway, so
yeah, that just seems so far out there. I couldn't imagine anyone would actually get there.
Yeah,
even then, you probably would want your 6 what.
Yeah, that'd be odd. Yeah, I mean, you probably like that imprint is so good. You want it like on every team, right? So, oh man, yeah.
Really used probably. That's what I was thinking. Like, there's like until you have every weapon essentially with that imprint just ready to go, or at least every weapon you want to use, which actually will be way more so. Weapons are getting a massive rework. Like we're just gonna please skip out on just rare in general because we don't want to have like a tier of weapons that you ever just kind of graduate from and just feel worthless later.
Okay.
So all weapons later on will be usable, and legendary weapons are gonna feel on par as getting like a legendary hero now.
Really? Okay.
So yeah,
I mean they've already kind of felt that way. Like just thinking of the jump between like epic and legendary. Like epic still had their uses and there's still stuff we were trying with them. But like, at the end game when you're trying to push for the Fafnir damage or trying to push for the, for the challenges, you're always using legendary weapons. Like that's just they're just a class above.
There weren't that many in the alpha, but they were good enough. And even though you can grind them out pretty well. As I say, like stat wise, like because you need dupes to level them, it will be a lot tougher, especially getting them in the actual release version of the game. There'll be less legendary weapons, or not less than there were in the alpha. It'd be more than the alpha, but less than were originally planned. And they will be rare to drop, but so it'll make upgrading them harder. But the effects on them are going to be a lot more powerful, and those are going to be less like. You don't need as many like dupes to scale up the effects you get. It'll just be like stats. So you'll probably be playing with a weaker statted weapon for a while, but the effect should more than make up for it. And then as you start hitting the dupe weapons, that's where you start, that's when, and then these stats actually just pull up beyond anything.
Yeah, the like I think the difference between an epic and a legendary at the time was like 55 crit damage versus 70 crit damage, right? Which is a massive increase.
Yeah, oh yeah, you just got a piece of gear that you.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the substat, right? The the secondary stat of the weapon. So. Yeah, I would love to ask you more about weapons, but I don't want to put you in a situation where you leak too much. But I want to.
It's still a work in progress. Like that's
everything's a work in progress.
Yeah. Steph was just coming back from everything. He was like really working on them, like on the train, trying to get them into the game. So they're still very much untested and just now getting implemented. So like Even if I don't have enough to leak because there's
It's not it's not finalized yet.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So then I think,
yeah, but anyone who's disappointed with the weapons, there is a big like they will feel so much more impactful in the next round.
that's the thing too, is that you're talking about imprints and weapons too, is like the only way to get an imprint in the alpha was to chomp a hero, or there were a few drops, but they were few and far between. They're almost negligible.
Yeah, a couple rewards. I think maybe I think there was a couple challenges they would give him here and there, and like a couple, like
you get like, I think it was like 5 to 10 if you did all the challenges. It wasn't very many at all. So yeah,
a lot of them you didn't even care about, but like they were very situational.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the only passes I used was like Hound of Duat, Osiris, and Zeus. That was it. Like,
just the damage.
It was like Hound of Duat was literally just to keep like my Slayers alive, and the other two was just to pump more damage, because there wasn't. I don't think there was enough time to come up with a better strategy, right? Like, it's just like, well, I'm just gonna pump damage because I know that works. Like, more damage is good.
Yeah, and there wasn't even enough. Like, I mean, like the pool was still shallow enough with heroes. Gear farming was, compared to how fast you got everything else, gear farming was very grindy.
Yeah.
So it was tough to even get together these like situational teams where you get to try out like meme builds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Plus, there just wasn't enough like varied content. It's just all waves. A lot of them just repeating waves of the same stuff. So there was no need. I think like a lot of stuff in the game was just situational, and the situation didn't exist yet.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got too. Like, just some of the epics that didn't work. Like, I don't think Set necessarily had a bad kit, right? I just think it was like, well, who cares, right? I'm killing this wave before it's going to debuff me anyway, or I'm going to CC this wave before it debuffs me. So, yeah.
I would like Set to be a little better though, because he's.
Oh sure, yeah. I mean,
it was cool. It was like I don't know what happened with him.
Well, like I said, like you said too, you had 65 or 67 characters to throw together, right? And if only one falls flat, I think you did a really good job, right? That's still an A+.
We'll just make something specific for him, where it's just
you're just gonna like
his exact kit beats the boss, and then
great. must have for the rare the wisdom ascension dungeon, right? Like,
or maybe let's give him a better passive or something, because that's something that's interesting too, is when you pull heroes, like I guess going back to imprints, sometimes there's heroes you don't care that much about when you pull it. You're like, because you already got your team set up, but you pull something and all of a sudden you're getting like a passive, you're like, oh, hang on a sec.
Yeah, that's what it was for Osiris. Really, when I was pushing, I was like, 10% more damage is 10% more, like, unconditional, or like, above 50% HP, which I was running on Slayers, so if they got hit, they died. So it was, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, the way I was running them, I was very much glad. I ran 2 disruptors and then 2 Slayers, and I was like, if they get hit, they die. If they slip through the CC, they die. Like, so it's unconditional 10% more damage. Sure, sign me up, right?
Who were you CCing with?
I was CCing with Mordred and Scotty.
Okay, Mordred, definitely. Yeah, Scotty, she was like, she had no idea how close she was on the chopping block, like a few times.
Really?
Like, no, don't do it. Because I look at her as almost being like the cold heart of the game.
I was thinking the same thing in terms of like the usability of the Eternal. Like, I said this in the Discord. I was like, the rares are so interesting that I'm gonna pull a Void Shard and one a Zeus, right, and Copium for a Zeus. But if I cash out a Scotty, I'm not feeling bad. Like, that's cool still.
She carried so hard early on when you'd pull her, and she scaled pretty well.
She did decent damage too. Like, if on the disruptor only missions, I put her in my best DPS gear, and she was doing like reasonable damage. So
I think she's still a Slayer. Even she's in a she feels like a disruptor.
Yeah,
but I think she's technically a Slayer.
I don't know. I like, it doesn't matter either way, right? Like, you're
feeling her as a disruptor probably, because her CC is great.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one she is. It doesn't really matter, right? Because at the end of the day, that's just a classification, right? To help you understand the characters, right? But
yeah, I mean, there's Yeah, there's a stat budget, or I should say, like stat allocation, where it's like
Yeah.
different stats. Each class are better at some stats than others,
Yeah.
but at like the rare level, their stats are their budget is just lower. So the differentiate between a Slayer and a Disruptor, at a rare level is not that big, anyways.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
but she's
But
definitely, yeah, she can put the damage out, and like as I said, she's like feels like Cold Heart in terms of like she, not how you use Cold Heart, but when you get her, you should feel about the same way. And she kind of looks like Cold Heart.
yeah.
She looks like
Yeah.
mommy Cold Heart.
Yeah, that's how that's literally I had the same conversation. It's like she's gonna feel like pulling a cold heart. Like she is the void epic or the void rare or the eternal rare, right? That is
Mhm.
going to change your account when you pull her, right? And
Yeah.
that's the thing I said, right? Is that, when your first your first void ether stone, right, or eternal ether stone, you're either getting a Zeus or a Scotty. You're feeling good either way. Like that's gonna
Mhm.
fundamentally change your account. So
Yeah, and anytime, yeah, she'll help probably push a lot. And the campaign's gonna be pretty tough,
okay,
hopefully. Like it's meant to be.
yeah.
So, but in the way that I think the alpha waves kind of felt, so having her probably really good for carrying you through that. Like everyone will get stuck maybe around chapter 4-ish or so, but then they'll
Okay.
hit that Scotty and they'll probably
Yeah.
be able to start pumping past. Like it should still have the alpha feeling to it a
That's
bit.
that's interesting. That makes you want to ask so many more questions. I'm just yeah, that's very fun. That's very fun. Uh yeah, so I think I want to shift gears here and talk a little bit about resources, right? That we're going to be getting in the alpha, right? And more of like how do you design them, right? So my question for you is, right, is like how do you view rubies from a game design angle, right? Because obviously it's kind of a premium currency, but it's also kind of allotted to the player in a daily amount, weekly amount, monthly amount, right? So basically, like, how do you view like the how you obtain them, and also like what kind of stuff do you decides like, okay, yeah, this is okay if you buy this with rubies.
Um, well, there's a tough one. We've got a guy who's doing who's like almost exclusively on all the economy stuff, but it is like the kind of the currency where we feel like it's not really part of the core loop in the
Okay,
sense of like, like you're not getting a specific currency that's upgrading something. So it's not like, oh, you go here to farm this so you can upgrade this. So it kind of exists without outside the core loop, but it is like a generic reward that you will get by doing just all your activities every day where you get a whole bunch of them. So it's like, I don't know, currency it will be tossed around quite a bit. Like
yeah,
there will be a lot of use for it, obviously. We're a pretty robust store where you're able to buy stuff and
yeah, yeah.
hopefully find a use for
Kind of how I view them, right? And as I view them in all the games, is like they're your wild card currency that you get to progress your account how you feel, right? So if you feel
it.
like you want more energy, right, or you feel like you want a couple more shards, or if you need more gold, right? That's how I kind of view it in my head, right? It's just like
Yeah.
this bonus like wild card, like oh yeah, instead of just getting the energy drop, you got some you got rubies, right? Whatever.
And I feel like the way it always usually pans out, and I'm sure it'll be similar, is early on you're just popping heroes. Like that's all you
Yeah,
think about.
just
You're like,
yeah.
oh,
I need to
I got
get
more.
a team together
Yeah.
to set up the flow of my account, right?
And then once your account is like filled out and you've got teams for all the content, that's now you just want to run content and it just goes entirely into stamina.
Yeah,
So I'm sure it's going to feel very similar. We're trying to have other uses for it, but it's like stamina is definitely probably the optimal
the
choice.
default, right? I don't yeah,
Yeah.
maybe not optimal. I don't want to say optimal, right? But probably default, right? That's the safe buy.
Because yeah, you can never play too much.
Yeah, yeah. You can never play too much. I like that. And then so for the we know that there are other games, right? And there's one game in particular that I don't want to say the name of, but they have ways to invest your rubies in a gem mine, if you will, of some kind, right?
Yeah.
To get long-term rewards. Is that something that Fateless has been considering, or is that like what
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, a gem mine type thing was always like in the original design. Um, it's Chosen loves it. That's his like. If anything makes in the game,
It's gonna
it's a
be
form
the
of
ruby mine, right?
yeah. 'Cause he said like that was like one of his first videos he did for that game. And Ever since then, like that was just like it's like his identity, his own secret identity.
He's like, all right,
Like,
step one, you go to the store and you buy enough gems to go buy the gem mine.
yeah, like finance. So he loves like the investment.
Yeah.
Like it takes like 90 days to pay itself
Yep.
off for
Yep.
him. What's 90 days? Obviously, you'd do that.
Yeah.
And for like long-term player retention, it's a great tool of like um you get someone to buy in essentially for 90 days. I don't know if that would really be the turning point. Like if you're getting sick of the game
Yeah.
at day 60, you're not gonna be like, well,
Oh,
I want to
get
get my
gems
gem
back.
Yeah, so I don't really think it's that big a retention tool. It's one of those just like eventually down the road when you're like a 3-year player and you're just like raking in your gems, like, yeah, that really paid off. You just
Yeah,
gotta
a times 10 times 12 investment. Yeah. I'm kind of big brained. Right?
Yeah, you feel like you bought Bitcoin in 2008. It's like,
Yeah.
oh man, this is living life large. But yeah, so it won't be exactly a mine that's that simple where it's pay currency, get more currency back each day.
Yeah.
The plan is more like we'll say it should be more fun. Like it should feel like not a mini game, but something you're gonna go to each day and be like, what am I getting?
Okay.
And by investing into it, you'll have better things that could potentially come back
Okay.
each day.
That's
So
nice.
yeah, there will be a little thing in the game that you're gonna want to check on daily.
Yeah.
That will have an investment you can put into to get better returns. It
That's
satisfies Brad, but it also satisfies the people who don't want something where you feel like you don't want because the other reason is the person who puts that gems into that all of a sudden like they don't see returns for 90 days and they're sitting there going like, man, if I just put that into heroes, my account might not suck right now.
That's the biggest thing, right? The biggest question is like, are you investing in the gem mine or are you buying your first set of masteries? Right? That was always the biggest dilemma of the game. And
yeah, and an early War Master like can help your clan boss damage a ton.
Yeah, like your starter. Yeah, it's like you start talk about raid right with Kale. Right, yeah. Kale's already a great clan boss, a useful clan boss person, and especially pushing dragon as well. It's like you could just use those gems and get him up to really punching like above his weight class here.
Yeah,
and I think too is like the training pit as well is like. For me, I was like, oh, the gem mine's a good investment. I'll invest in the training pit too. So my training pit was like fully upgraded. And it's like, this feels, and it was so bad. Like,
I hated the training. I never used it. It was too much like another like chore you had to do. Well, because it was like every level.
That's the thing, right? I wish it didn't level cap. Like, I wish it would just like, just take my characters to, and that's the great thing about Godforge. If you decide to do that, right, and you decide to put something in there, you have bottled XP. Right, so you'd be like, oh yeah, sure, you can run this little treadmill, like go ahead and throw like Icarus on the treadmill. He's gonna run and build you XP for you, right?
Yeah,
that's just
it was miserable, man. I don't know. It was just so bad that I never wanted to interact.
Well, that was the thing too. My thought process was like, oh, I could put my food in there and like passively level up my food and get X. And in theory, it's like, oh yeah, that will save you gems because you want to buy as much energy to do champion training. But like when every half hour I have to click a button, it's like, come on. Like,
you'd rather just like spend the like 3 minutes to just run those characters through like 12-3 or something.
Yeah, no, and literally that was it, right? I was like, I thought I was super big brain. I was like, oh man, think like I crunched the numbers. Oh, this is when it comes out when you run this many champions through. You saved the 40 gems of buying the energy. I was such an idiot. Like I never got my.
It is.
Yeah,
it is worth it. Like when you run the numbers, but
but the quality of life is awful.
It felt like crap. So we definitely want to avoid that feeling, and that's something that like was in the gem mine. It's not that bad, but it's just something. It was like boring, I guess. And you don't even when it is fully upgraded, it's still just like gems trickling in. They just trickle in.
Like let's say you play like once a day, and it's like, okay, cool, 15 gems next, right? And I feel like that could just been in like, why is that not just in my daily rewards? Like, why did I have to pay 1,500 for the privilege?
And if it's 5 or 15, like in the long run, it adds up. But like on that day, you don't feel a difference between 5 or 15.
Well, that's the thing. Like we talked about the default thing to buy is energy. Energy's 40. You didn't even give me
Mhm.
half of an energy bottle. You know, like, come on, man.
So that's why it just like so that was like the main concern is like, do we want to have something in there that feels just like kind of pointless? But
Yeah.
it's not like a massive like development constraint to add something like that in the game.
Yeah.
But we want it to be more fun. Like if it's gonna be sitting in your bastion or the sanctum,
Yeah.
like it's gotta be fun. It's gotta be worthy of being there.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's like when we talk about design, it's not. I think when the Fateless team is this big and this robust, I don't think the question is can you do something? It's rather like, can we do it in this time frame, or more rather, it doesn't make sense for the design of the game, right?
Yeah.
So,
And like
um,
would it just leave like in the end just feel like because a big thing too now is everyone just hates like greedy stuff and it's like
yeah,
are they just trying to milk us for gems early on and rip us off like
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
almost better to not have it even if it does pay off like in the long run if it
yeah,
just feels scummy in some
yeah.
way because
And that's the thing
you
too,
don't
is
want
that
to
you don't want like bloated content either. You want all the content to feel good, right? It's like, oh, there's this new piece of content, or this is this piece of content on launch. It's like, well, who cares, right? Like,
yeah something you don't
um,
want to do anyways or yeah
yeah, exactly. And then I think I had one more question, right? Talking about Simon to expect, Simon said to expect similar summon rates similar to raid, right? We want that feeling of the real pop moment when you get your legendary, right? But resources to be more plentiful. You said there is a guy talking about the economy. How carefully are you balancing how often an account gets shards versus like and even imprints that we talked about as well, right? Because they can be just as good as shards in certain situations, or on a similar level. How carefully is the team looking at that when they're designing the economy?
I like we have a guy whose full-time job is like dedicated to it like so he's got
So
the
that's a
sheets
pretty
up
big
and then we
commitment,
have
right? Yeah, like
yeah and then Sap of course like is checking it too. And then we're also feeling it out. Like there was like early alpha, because like for him too, like he had a lot of like theoretical design in it. And then early on in the alpha, we're like, nope, nope, nope,
no,
wrong. All this, we're gonna change it. But, like having a chance to test it all out, like it is still a team effort in that we have someone who's putting the groundwork in, and he's doing, he's done a ton of research on it, and like his all the data he has is like just overwhelming almost. But it's and nicely managed though. But then like all of us are trying to feel it out. We're like, this because we basically go into it and like, does this feel fun? Like there's the balance of like economy in the sense of like, I don't know, like mathematically it works out. But
yeah,
the main part of it is like, did I feel rewarded for this? I don't care if I technically was rewarded
yeah.
for
I
this.
don't care
Like,
what the numbers say. How do I feel about it?
yeah. And that was a huge thing in the alpha where like Sham was hard on that too. Like we went in there like our like right before alpha went, we're just testing to see how things work, and it was like no, like so we almost scrapped the initial like economy of the alpha. I mean, the alpha economy wasn't like it's not the main game anyways. It was like
Yeah,
its own little thing he had to put together, so it wasn't expected to be great. But there was a big like, oh, this is it didn't. There's so much of it that didn't feel like it was worth it to do, and I think even at the end, there was still some things that didn't feel great. And it was just like a big thing of like, what do you want when you're playing the game? And like, some of it, through testing, there's gonna be a lot more of that too. Like the groundwork for the economy, I feel like is very carefully planned in terms of like, um, what you're getting back for the resources you put into getting it, right? Because everything is like you're spending a key or you're spending energy to run something,
yeah,
and then what you're getting back that all needs to be like balanced against each other.
yeah,
So it does. So there no one piece of content is just like the superior choice because it's like the resource investment of what you put in, you just get way more back out of it. Um, so I think that's all very well balanced, but yeah, there's still that big like fun factor of like I want you want to come out of this after like a day or not even a day of farming, but just like you queue up like 20 auto runs. You want to come back and not just be like throwing the trash away. Like
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's so I think you've answered all the questions I have, right? Is there anything else you just kind of want to talk about or let the community know, about the design philosophy or about yourself or about Fateless or whatever, right? I think the big takeaway I took around it is like everything's Chosen's fault, right?
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
yeah.
If you have any complaints, you know where to direct them. The Brad Fateless.gg. Just let him
Yo,
know.
you're dropping his email too. You're like, I was expecting like, oh yeah, DM him on Discord. He's chosen the fate. No, email him directly. If you
Let him
get any
know what
spam
you're
email,
upset
just
with.
forward it to Brad, right?
Complaints. Don't just don't troll him. If you got real complaints. Actually, he was like he was handling for a while. This has been passed around a lot. Like our like almost like company email. Not like we all have like a Fateless email, but
Yeah,
there's like the contact at Fateless, and he
yeah,
was doing that for a while. He probably was getting some of that, but
yeah.
um, I'd say yeah, blame Brad for everything. Everything's sweet. Feel free to get praises. I will say like design wise, I think like, our biggest goal was just having like a lot of ways to build characters. Like for me, and a lot of us on the team, like our favorite part is just like theory crafting and coming up with builds. So we're definitely a lot of plans with content for just infinite theory crafting. And I think, like I said, Sham and I both dropped like a Theoria for Godforge, and that was just the alpha because there was just so much more to like. Oh man, if I get this armor set with this team, like
Well,
there's just a lot to like plan out and.
not only that too, right? A big thing that we talk about, right, is speed versus initiative, right? It's like you can't really have both, right? That your boot slot is saying which way are you going,
Yeah.
right?
You get your pants and a helmet, you get a little bit of like
yeah,
both.
well, the thing is, right, is for the helmet you're losing, I think it's accuracy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the pants you're losing attack, or there was another stat there. Was it crit rate or crit damage or something? I think there was a secondary stat there that we cared about, right? So it's not like the speed's not free on the legs, right? There is a competing stat there. And especially if you go like double speed, like initiative or speed, you're losing a lot of damage then, right? Because there's an attack percent you're missing.
I think it was attack, but there's a lot of attack on the legs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So
yeah.
it comes down to like, it's like, do I want a little more speed at the cost of having like 0 damage now?
Yeah,
So,
exactly,
like,
right? Especially
probably.
too, if it's like if you have a crit damage helmet with a crit, a crit rate helmet with a crit damage glove, and then it's like, okay,
you don't have attack,
and you don't have attack, right? You're not completing the square, right? So like, who cares if you have all this crit damage and crit rate if you're not having the attack to be that multiplicative effect? So I'm very happy with that build. Like a lot of times I was asking myself, like, what do I do? Right? Like, what is the best way to do? And you can't have everything, right? And that was a big thing too, is like people were worried about the substats, right? You get all your substats at once. Well, you kind of need them because you have this another stat initiative that everyone cares about, right? On top of the 3 stats they already cared about, right? And so I think when you're building a character, it is really cool to see speed versus initiative, tanky versus damage. And I think that really makes a complex build of getting those sliders just right? Where you're not like, oh yeah, you can't die, but you don't do anything, right? Versus like, oh, you can melt a boss, but then if you get breathed on, you fall over like cardboard. And then there's also the speed initiative where like speed is better if you care about your core, and initiative is better if you care about your ultimate, right? Because with speed you'll cycle back to your core faster. It's very fun. I think that you guys definitely hit the nail on the head. I think a lot of people, we're very happy with the design of Godforge. I mean, I'm waiting with bated breath. My daily activities is actively waiting for Godforge. All I do is like literally like when I'm watching it, even now the Fateless Discord is pulled up because I like on my third monitor I always have the Fateless Discord pulled up, or like if there's a video going on, it's always one of my monitors is dedicated to Godforge at all times. So
nice. Oh, yeah. It's definitely. I mean, personally, I'm kind of burnt out on some of these hero collectors now.
Yeah,
and Godforge, I feel like just me personally, I want to play it. Like it's a breath of fresh air, and I think it's the ultimates. It adds like a whole new layer that other games. It's not like that complex, but for some reason it just hasn't been done yet. Like the real time games have them, but none of the turn based ones do.
Yeah, or if it is a turn based one, I have seen them on like card based ones. But then card based ones, they don't have that speed element, right? So you trade the complexity of speed for the complexity of ultimates. But when you put them together, it's very interesting, and like I said too, I think you guys are doing a great job, right? I'm glad that I could kind of show the insight. There is intentionality, right? People have plans, you know. So
Yeah,
that was the
like
whole
so,
point.
like, build wise, like we're all like big like Path of Exile players in the past and still. So it's like we want to have like that feeling of like designing or like building a character, but without like the complexity of Path of Exile. We don't want to have that like. Although there is some stuff coming. We're gonna have like masteries are gonna be pretty in depth.
Yeah,
It's not gonna be like a constellation or
yeah,
anything like that, but
yeah.
there will be a lot to choose from.
I was actually playing the last Path of Exile League, right, that just came out, and I was like, wow. As a newer player, right? I was like, wow, I forgot how intimidating the passive skill tree is in Path of Exile.
Yeah, you get your first level like after doing like the tutorial stage, basically.
And
You like
you have you have
like,
to have your build planned out because that first point matters.
yeah, you like you screw it up and all of a sudden everything's off.
Yeah. It could cost you literally like 50,000 gold to fix something crazy like that.
Just because you chose the wrong. There's only like a couple nodes to choose.
Yeah, there's like two or three nodes. You're just like, do I go left or right? Oh, well, it was awesome.
Yeah, there's nothing that
go ahead.
complex, but
Yeah.
there will be like the passives are going to be, or it's not passive, masteries, I should say. It's going to be. It's not just going to be like the trees you get from, raid or something like that, where it's just every character has the same one. I mean, every character essentially will have the same pool, but they're going to be earned. Like this has been talked about, I think, with through achievements. And
Yeah.
They will have their own trees and like tiers. Like I think, so it'll kind of have like almost like a.
And that's the thing too, is if you layer simplicity upon each other, you get depth, right? Because that's the thing. We don't want to use complexity. We want to use depth, and I think that is the right word to use, right? Because like gearing a character is relatively simple, right? Picking an imprint's relatively simple, right? And a weapon combo. And then like picking masteries are relatively simple. But when you layer upon that, you get depth, right? And it's like all of a sudden a character that you wouldn't think would be a good disruptor, right? For whatever reason. Oh, there's a weapon passive that turns their offensive ability into a disrupting ability. I know there's this cool mastery in the Slayer tree that like gives the chance up or something, and all of a sudden like your Lady Jacques becomes a CC'er, you know. And I'm not saying that's gonna happen, but like maybe, right? Maybe there's a weapon that like what.
So like, there's gonna be so much, like that's why we're so excited, because the game is very like content creator driven, in the sense that like Hell Hades, Simon is our like one of the founders for it.
He's the face of the company. Like forget the power dynamic of the all the co-founders working together. Simon is the face of the company, and he's a big.
So having like, so it makes the game is very much like driven for content creation too. So we want people out there like so excited to show off their builds that they're like, you know what, I'll put a YouTube video out there too. Like
put a tuber out, right?
Yeah, and then we're trying to have like the community built up to facilitate it, and then so that's another big thing too, is we're trying to make sure the game in-game like community feels more than just like what is a chat in most of these games? It's like it's just spammers trying to sell you stuff.
Yeah,
like
yeah. I mean, honestly,
so
like the entire chat of like the last game I played was like it told you when you pulled a legendary, right? So it's just a stream of no-name people. I have no idea who they are pulling these legendaries, and then just some guy trying to sell me gold or like trying to scam me, right? Like
exactly. So we want to see something where like you can share builds and stuff like that too. So that's in the pipe.
Oh,
so,
that's very exciting, right? That's
because we want you to just be like, dude, check out my my Lady Jacques, and then you just like right in the chat there and show it. And then
check out my Lady Jacques. Yo, man, that's awesome.
Go to like Discord, like it's gonna be awesome. So
that's pretty.
It's very much community game. Like that's where we're all so excited. It's like to play it now.
I mean, there is a lot of people like I get a DM every now and again of a player, they watch the video or something, and they're just like, hey, let's talk Godforge for a bit. I'm like, yeah, let's talk Godforge. Yeah. So I was just talking to someone today. It was about what was it about? I don't remember, but it was this great talk. It was about how do I feel about like it was commons and uncommons, right? And I was like, well, there's a few I had in my mind. Like I think Shield Maiden as a common I'm excited to play a shield maiden, honestly. If I'm lacking that early defender, right? And that's a cool thing is like even if you said like, oh yeah, they're not optimized for for content, there are enough there where I'm like, well, this is, Berserker was the dark tech. We were like, listen, if you can't beat stage 143 with Chaos Heroes, right? You don't have the Anubis. There is always the dark tech of leveling up a Berserker and trying to get enough extra hits in a row to win. So it's fun that they're talked about, right?
Yeah, it's like we want them to at least be like in the theory craft, like they're there, like maybe, and like one person they'll take it for the team. Like I leveled Berserker, so you don't have to, kind of thing.
Well, that's the thing I plan to do. I don't know. I'm a pretty technical YouTuber, and I plan, I know that Raid has CC resources. If I am given CC chickens, right, or CC spirits, and I am leveling up on commons. Like, I'm not going to go and level up the legendaries. Everyone knows how the legendaries work. I'll take the bullet. I'll use my, content creator spirits to level up all the uncommons and really put them through their paces, right?
Yeah, but then you end up crushing like the faction wars or something.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like, it's good for something.
There'll hopefully be places where it won't feel like a waste if you did that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, eventually, when you have like all the characters.
Well, that's the thing, right? Yeah. Like, well, the thing is that's cool too is like, I leveled up a Source in Raid. That was my first 6-star. Was a Source because I did not look up anything. I was like, well, this guy looks cool, and it turned out that he was a great campaign farmer, and I was like, oh, cool, yeah. So I don't play my Raid account anymore, right? I don't even have access to it anymore, but like. He's still there sitting on 12-3, right? Like ready to go.
You lucked out with that?
Yeah, I did. I like dinosaurs. I was like, oh, this guy's cool, and I can easily book him because I get copies of him. Yeah, like, I didn't look up anything. That was my first like foray into the genre. I had no idea of what I was doing. I was like, oh yeah, I mean, this guy seems easy to build. I'll just make him a 60. Who cares? Even before.
Yeah, you would have been better off with Kale probably, but at least.
Well, I had Gaelic, right? I didn't know. I like Gaelic. I think he looked cool, dude. I was like, yeah, dude, sure, I'll take Gaelic. So my account was like a level 50 Gaelic and a level 60 Saurus for the first like 2 weeks.
Mr. Bull was like that progression mission where you had to get like silver in the arena or something though. Yeah. When you're sitting there with Gaelic and Source, or
yeah, man, it was pretty tough. And then I looked up stuff and I was like, oh wow, I really messed this up, didn't I? But yeah,
that's something too. That we have the progress missions going right now. That's a big one too. Is we don't want to have any that like require like you have to achieve a certain thing that's like relative to the community.
Yeah, like a PvP rank, right? Because that is as the community gets better, it's like. I came into Raid like way later than everyone else did. Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I have a Source, like that's not. I have like a
no gear. All these legendary teams and stuff. You're like, what is going on? I'm silver. Like I have to get to gold or something. Like
yeah.
And then like you're looking at Arbiter, and the whole time you're thinking like, oh man, I can't wait to get this chick. It'd be awesome. And you're like fighting teams with Arbiter. And you're like,
yeah. Literally, my account, I played for like 8 or 9 months or something like that, right? And my account still didn't have Arbiter, right? Like I was pushing like faction wars. I was finished with a few faction wars actually, but like
Source carried you there hard.
No, yeah, the lizard men, bro. Actually, they throw him into a sunset. Like he gets worked. I'm not kidding. He actually did carry me through faction wars. He was my best character through, honestly. But like that's the thing though. Is like I had such a late start on the arena side of the PvP side because of that bad start. That I didn't have Arbiter, right? Like I like after I think it was like 7 or 9 months somewhere in there, I just didn't have it. And I was like, man, I feel so stupid. But at the same time, it was fun. I learned so much about the game. What'd you say? Say that again.
I think that's definitely like a massive churn point, though. It just feels crappy when you're like, you made a bad decision that like you shouldn't have possibly known like the correct decision, right?
Yeah.
You shouldn't be expected to like. It shouldn't be like again Path of Exile where you have to like.
Yeah, exactly.
You play the game, you have to make a build. And you're like, well, you don't know what build to make? Like, well, hold on, here's the wiki, here's
well, I mean, yeah, just the thing too. So, for the guys out there like me, make sure that you say like the game's designed for rare plus, right? Like your uncommented comments are food. Throw that into the tutorial.
Yeah, they're pretty much what they exist for. Rares should be able to take you anywhere, and like I said, they look cool too. That's like one of the, more so I think than a lot of times they deserve. Even some of the uncommons, to be honest.
Dude, Berserker looks good, man. I think Berserker, like when you see him in that screenshot of the Hell Hades video getting absolutely iced by Heimdall, it's like, wow, Berserker looks awesome being cannon fodder, right?
Yeah. I think another one like Composite Bowman when he like shoots up the arrows.
Yeah.
And they rain down like this is like way too good.
Or like Eagle Archer. Like, why is there so much detail on his bow? He's food.
Yeah, this has been like a thing that's ongoing since the beginning. We're like, we don't mean to do that. We keep saying like, hey, they're supposed to look stupid. Just like put them through. It's like our team will not put bad content through. So they're like, no.
Well, I mean, it's great for us. It's great for the players, right?
Rares I think look really good. Especially like just doing like Odysseus just came to mind. Doing him. And this was like, he's got a friggin' like, I think he actually had to get, a few of our rares have actually had to get upgraded.
I was gonna say, Odysseus is currently an epic.
Epic, he actually had to get upgraded.
Well, it's the same thing with
he was so crazy cool.
With the Weeping Angel one, right? It was uncommon for the longest time. And then now it's a rare. It looked too cool. Like, if we had to make it a rare, right?
Yeah. So Odysseus was like, I think there were like 20 or so characters that have been bumped up in rarity. Just some of them from rare to legendary,
really,
because of how cool they turned out. Like they started off as just being like, is meant to be like a cool monster character, so it's a rare, and then like it comes out, and we're like, well, that is way too cool now.
Yeah.
So
well, I think Baba Yaga comes to mind, right? Where it's like it needs a custom rig, and it's like, yeah, it's legendary. Like it looks so funny, it's cool, it's quirky, like it's legendary. That's just it. So that's something I think is really cool as well. Is just like the team's like, yeah, it's good enough.
So yeah, I think as a new player, you're gonna come in, you're early shards, you'll be hitting some rares, and you should hopefully feel good about all of them, especially Scotty when you get
there.
And
Scotty.
Make sure Dagonet gets back up there too.
The thing is, you need to have that, the Shield Maiden, right? The of Raid Shield Maiden, right? Where it's like you need the defense down hero at rare that gets the job done, right? Until you get the epic upgrade.
Yeah.
So, and I think Dagonet fits that role perfectly, right? So he should feel like, hey, he's your defense down guy, right? You just, there you go. Do the classic defense down into nuke, right? Or speed up defense down nuke.
Yeah.
Boom.
If you're putting your like early arena team together,
yeah,
you can at least get that like, all right, we got to speed up, or we got defense down, or we got our nuke, or like you got your bases covered there.
Yeah, and the third slot there is looking pretty, right? Like you don't need that third slot, or it's a secondary nuker or something, right? It's like the first one wasn't good enough, right? So I'm gonna slap you again with
my speed blows, so we're gonna bring two speed ups.
Let's bring two speed ups,
like speed up and turn meter booster,
or even you can do the crazy.
My nuker blows. We need two of them,
or the crazy angle where it's like I don't have accuracy gear, so we'll bring two defense down champions and try to get it twice.
One of them's gonna land. It's a shore up. Whatever counts as horrible ad.
But it was great talking with you. I think we're gonna wrap it up here with that. So look forward to Godforge. I know I am, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.